What was that?
Perfect. You want to be that guy? Wow.
Wow. That's great.
Wow, that's a good message.
Good morning. Going back to the early days of this edition of the Decentralized TV. Good morning. It's Friday, March 10th. We are joining you today. We're going to run a test. It's Fuck It Friday and Conspiracy Friday. And we're seeing the markets reflect that also. So we're going to run a quick experiment this Friday. We're going to make it short. We're going to make it sweet. And we're going to address the conditions of the market. Brandon is en route to a non-disclosed location, but he did record two of the articles that impact, as a matter of fact, as part of the title of this show today. So we're going to consider that because that's what has impacted Bitcoin at the moment. So across the board and please like and subscribe. We're here, we keep going regardless of the market conditions because the builders always build no matter what the market conditions, because when the bull run arrives, we're ready, we're going, we're building in this industry. So overall, the markets currently are pretty much flatlined across the board. There's a pretty big meeting today, which will define the rest of March on what happens overall. The only winner at the moment, even gold and everything else, is waiting, I guess, for this meeting, which is the Fed. But the dollar is the winner at this very moment. But let's look at what is going on with Bitcoin itself. So overnight, Bitcoin dropped. Remember on Wednesday, we're looking at the market at Bitcoin itself, and we had highlighted this 200 moving average on the daily chart, which is right here. And take a look, almost to the T, it came down and tapped it. And now it's returning, coming back up. If today in 9 hours, about 10 hours, this candle closes in green, that's a pretty good bounce. So now what we would be watching for is what will it do? Because we broke through yesterday, we broke through the FTX breakdown initial point. So that was support. Now it has become resistance because the candle closed below that line. So at this moment, we're returning back up. If this closes with the red line, or we're scraping the red line by Friday night down here, that's not a good sign, guys. But if it ends up green, then we can, by Monday, start looking up and see, hey, will it rise up to where the FTX breakdown occurred a month ago in November, and test it as a ceiling through which we cannot break through? Or do we break through and now confirm the 50 daily moving average as the next ceiling? So depending on how long it takes us to get back up here, that's where we will either find out we are too weak to even get up here, and then we continue our way down into the buy zones that we've been looking at, or will we pass it and then test this one as resistance and then come back down? Or the third scenario is we break through it and then we test as support, and here we go, on to the races again. But let's look for confluence. We always want to look for any other related connections or other indicators that say the same thing. And take a look at this. I just moved in from the daily to the 3-day. The 3-day is the lowest time frame I usually look at for guidance on where we're going. So here's what we see. We are actually tapped it like dead on. And now we're recovering, coming back up. This candle won't close until the end of the day today also. So today is going to be a significant day. Do we rise above here and then test at support? This would mean that this becomes a wick, a pretty strong support. It's highly unlikely, but we will see. All we're doing is looking for probabilities. So that's what we're looking at today. Now, what triggered all this? Why all of a sudden this dump? Well, there's two things. In my case, I'm the type that looks at the charts and then I tell you the news, or the show me the technicals and I'll tell you the news. We on Wednesday we're already speaking to you of the possibilities of Bitcoin dropping below these important levels. So it did. Now we're seeing it hit that floor we were looking for. I had an alarm at 19,500 and we dropped to 19,559. So by $59, we did not hit my alarm, which it triggers a few options for me. So that's what we're moving. Now, if you want to kind of look at what is possible at this moment, what I believe may happen, take a look at this. Look at the formation. We had the run up, we had this top, and then we had this double. So it rose again, and now it dumped below. Look at this shape. This looks like an M. Where have we seen this before? Well, if we zoom out, take a look at this. What transpired at the market top for this last bull run? We had our run up from the COVID crash all the way up here, bottomed, hit that little bottom, and now rose higher than the previous one. And what transpired later is we dropped below the 50 moving average, finally below the 200 moving average. We had the Luna collapse, and then ultimately we had the FTX collapse to where it brought us to today. But do you see the trend? This M looks very eerily similar to this M over here. That's a pattern that concerns me. So that's where now, as a trader, I'm looking for confirmation. Will this repeat itself, or will this 50 moving average on the 3-day or the 50 moving average on the 1-day confirm as support? On the 3-day, it's more likely or possible, but on the single day, it already proved the 200 is support currently. By Monday, we'll know, will this hold or not? So what triggered all this? Let's move on to the article that Brandon actually is going to read for us. Brandon, safe journeys to your undisclosed location, but let's go. Let's see what you had to say on this article. This is article number 1. Silvergate suspends Silvergate Exchange Network as company reels from crisis. So let's go. And let
Welcome
me
to
know in the chat.
Decentralized TV, Crypto and Coffee. I'm the Data Lord. Let's read the news. Silvergate suspends Silvergate Exchange Network as company reels from crises. The story brought to you by The Block. Quick take. Silvergate Exchange Network, SEN, will shut down as part of risk-based decision, the company said. Other deposit-related services will be unaffected by the shuttering of SEN. So, Silvergate's certainly a big financial entity in the space. The fact that they did shut down their exchange network in order to mitigate risk, to me, says that they ran into some trouble and wanted to make sure people could be paid properly and funds were cared for. So I actually think that's cool that they're being responsible, it seems. Um, but other deposit related services are unaffected by the shuttering of SEN. So it looks like they're not in terrible shape, probably because they reacted quick enough. Let's read the news. Silvergate suspended its Silvergate Exchange Network on Friday, the result of what it called a risk based decision. The network shutdown comes after Moody's downgraded Silvergate's credit rating for the second time in less than 2 weeks. So there must have really been some, financial auditing going on. Moody's said it downgraded Silvergate due to insufficient capitalization and governance deficiencies after the company delayed its annual report filing and following the company telling the Securities Exchange Commission it was less than well capitalized. So clearly they're having some financial issues, maybe some auditing. Maybe they did a self audit and it failed. Maybe they were audited by another entity and they were like, hey, this can be a big deal if we don't fix this. So they're being responsible, which I'm glad to see companies at least being retroactively responsible. Although SEN is now shut down, other deposit related services are unaffected, according to Silvergate. That's good. It means they cut it early. A number of major blockchain industries, including Circle, blockchain.com, Wintermute, GSR, Coinbase, and Paxos all severed ties with Silvergate. So there must have been some cause for concern in their own audits with their partners, how I foresee that happening. The bank recently also will release 9.9 million to distressed crypto lender BlockFi, as stipulated and ordered in BlockFi's bankruptcy. So it's good they're at least paying out what they agreed to. Silvergate now faces a number of issues, including litigation as well as regulatory and congressional scrutiny, according to its SEC filings. So Silvergate, being a big financial entity, probably had some internal audits. They didn't go like they needed them to. So they're like, okay, how do we get this square so we don't end up with deep legal and financial trouble? And it looks like they just shut down the exchange in order to prevent the bleeding from continuing. And we have this other article on the same topic here with Crypto Briefing. Crypto-friendly bank Silvergate shut down. Silvergate Bank announced yesterday that it would be winding down its operations in an orderly manner. It's good to see. Nothing like FTX, right? Key takeaways. Silvergate Bank announced yesterday it would be voluntarily undergoing liquidation. Okay. The bank assured that all customer deposits would be fully repaid. Good job. People learned something from FTX. Silvergate had previously informed the SEC that it was less than well capitalized. So they're aware they're not in good financial standing. And before they get to the point that they can't pay people back, they shut down operations to preserve their condition, right? Silvergate Bank is winding down operations, but assured that all customer deposits would be fully repaid. So traditional banking risks. Another pillar of the crypto industry has succumbed. Silvergate Capital Corporation, the holding company for Silvergate Bank, announced yesterday its intent to completely wind down operations. The bank indicated in its press release that it would be voluntarily undergoing liquidation in an orderly manner and in accordance with applicable regulatory process. The bank stated that all customer deposits would be fully repaid and that it was currently figuring out how to resolve claims and preserve the value of its assets. Silvergate told the Securities and Exchange Commission at the beginning of the month that it was perhaps less than well capitalized and was reevaluating its business. The company also admitted to being uncertain about its ability to continue operating. The news sent shockwaves through the crypto industry, with major firms such as Coinbase, Paxos, Circle, Galaxy Digital, and CBOE all quickly announcing they were pausing transactions to and from Silvergate. So that's what we read in the other article too. Shortly thereafter, Silvergate made the decision to discontinue the Silvergate Exchange Network, which it used to enable customers to exchange government-issued currencies for cryptocurrencies. Silvergate had previously disclosed a $1.05 billion loss in the fourth quarter of 2022 due to the crisis of confidence the crypto industry experienced following FTX's collapse. However, former FDIC chair Sheila Bair told Bloomberg yesterday that Silvergate's troubles were as much, if not more, about traditional banking risks, lack of diversification, maturity mismatches, as it is about exposure to crypto. So what they're functionally saying is this is not a crypto problem. This was a banking financial issue where they just didn't follow known best practices in the space, and that was only compounded by what happened with FTX. So hopefully there's some big lessons here that other companies can learn, that we do need to be diversified. We do need to make sure that we are very transparent with our accounting if we want to prevent legal regulatory issues. And hopefully the SEC gives us some regulatory clarity here soon too, so that companies can build with these expectations in mind, and instead what we're currently doing, which is just hoping you got it right and hoping you don't paint yourself into a corner, which is not a good way to build anything that's going to stand the test of time. So yeah, Silvergate, let us know what you think in the comments. Were you affected by this? Have you ever done business with Silvergate? Does this concern you for how other companies might interact with crypto? I don't know. Let us know. Until next time, I'm the Data Lord. This is Decentralized TV, Crypto and Coffee. Today's crypto news. Keep calm.
All right, guys. So thanks for that. Oh, give me a second. Of course, it auto streams to the next one. My apologies for that. That's a great point, Lo. So Silvergate was the first step, and then we saw Silicon Valley Bank um, take a hit. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought that up, Low Roller Scratcher, because this is the tweet last night that we retweeted yesterday on the channel. Was I feel bad for Silicon Valley Bank right now. They have been the biggest capital partner to founders, employees, and investors over the last decade, and they're being completely turned on by all of them. If SVB goes under, it would be detrimental to the startup community. Yes, Silicon Valley Bank is a stalwart in funding startups. A lot of the big companies that today were funded by this bank. And the rumor mill is there's a politician that really spoke badly of them, and then everyone just steamrolled. It's almost like you see a wounded dog and everyone just goes right after it. Those that you own dogs, you know precisely what I mean by that. It's sad to see this, and they're actually shuttering business. It's that bad. So that's what really, when this popped out, Silvergate was the beginning. So you could see that the first of the news. Let me move it to the chart right here. Silvergate, it came about during this initial drop as it was coming. So, and then Silicon Valley Bank was this big one right here that you see combined with Silvergate. So you see a lot of the price action taking into account that fall. So it's the cleansing. I believe, and this is a great point, Slow Roller Catcher, is this is 2008 bank crash all over again. So that all these failures occurring, it began way back with Luna, and it just triggered. And then you see VCs or a lot of people that over leveraged, thinking, oh, we're going to be rich. And usually you see this over leveraging occurring during the FOMO. We do not do that as builders. We look at the market, we look at where it is, and we should understand where we end up going. Also, the data alert, we still need bank to cash out our Bitcoin. Yes, so Silvergate is one of the partners that Coinbase, Gemini, and so many other relied as a on-ramp, off-ramp from fiat, let's say euros, US dollars, into crypto. There are other competitors still in the market. So it's not like they were the only ones, but the news of one of the OGs that began doing this way back in 13, 14, going under. And then now you have Silicon Valley Bank, who's funded so many of these startups that are wealthy today, going under during this time, critical time, this bear market, is a sign of, okay, there is blood like this. There is blood on the streets at this very moment. The big question is, how bloody will it get? And you have to start thinking in terms of, hey, man, where is the maximum pain going to be at? And IndoCryptor says, I'm feeling like a hungry hippo. And it is very true. It's during these times where people think this is going to shit that you actually should start looking for real opportunities. Look at those projects. Of course, Bitcoin being the grandpappy of it all. Remember, I have buys all the way down to 9,200. So, and that's a Hail Mary, by the way, the 9,200 level. But that's where my expectation from the charts is to be. Why do I look at 9,200 as a potential? It's because when people speak of, and you look at the previous bull run, when we crossed the 10,000 mark, what was everyone saying? If you recall, especially UOGs, they're saying we'll never see 10,000 again. So if you think about it, everyone believes there must be a lot of stops around that area 10,000. So thus I say, okay, maybe a Hail Mary, maybe we will make it as low as 10,000. Maybe we'll stay up in the bet zone between Tamp and Don Fran, where Tamp says it will not go below $12,000. Don Fran says it'll go 11,800 or below. So if it falls within those two, it's an even bet. It's a wash. But you can see a lot of people are not looking at 10,000 because everyone assumes that's the bottom, that's the floor. We'll never see that again. I like to be a little contrarian, and that's where you have a Hail Mary purchase at that point is below that, because you can only imagine if we do cross that threshold from a investor or a trader, it's like that's maximum blood, that's maximum pain. But of course, it's all speculative at this moment. But by seeing the failures of banks or the ramps, on ramps, and off ramps, that's where you see these opportunities appear. Here's the other piece of news that actually also is triggering this drop. And this one is significant because it impacts miners directly. So let's take a look at Brandon again. Thank you so much for doing this last night. I know you're en route, but you're still in the chat. Say hello, and you have already. And everyone, oh yes, and this is I love the practice. Good morning, Indo Crypto. It's always great seeing you. Just Bossy, ma'am. It's always great seeing you. Low Roller Scratcher. I love your philosophy, and you are very well informed. We'd love to have these conversations always with you. Boss Don CEO, welcome. Now let's see the other piece of news that actually is going to affect us and is influencing the drop of Bitcoin.
Welcome to Decentralized TV, Crypto and Coffee. I'm the Data Lord. Let's read the news. House Republicans directly criticize the Biden administration for digital asset policies. Let's read the news. Because of actions taken by this administration, the United States is at risk of pushing the digital asset ecosystem overseas, said Republican Financial Services Committee members. Statements from Republican lawmakers ahead of inaugural hearings of the United States House of Representatives Subcommittee focused on digital assets, financial technology, and inclusion suggest partisan divides on crypto regulation. And hopefully we don't see that. This shouldn't be bipartisan. In March 6th memo, House Financial Services Committee Republican said that the first hearing of the Digital Assets Financial Technology and Inclusion Subcommittee would focus on the Biden administration's attack on the digital asset ecosystem. The hearing is scheduled to take place on March 9th as one of the first since Representative Patrick McHenry became committee chair at the start of the 118th Congress. Over the last 2 years, the Biden administration has issued statements and proposed rulemakings that have inappropriately impacted the digital asset ecosystem, said the memo. Many of these actions can be considered an overreach of jurisdictional authority. In addition, the consequences of these policies cannot be understated. Because of the actions taken by this administration, the United States is at risk of pushing the digital asset ecosystem overseas. Crypto industry representatives, including BitGo co-founder CEO Mike Belshi and Coinbase chief legal officer Paul Grewal, are expected to testify at the hearing. In addition, the subcommittee has listed 5 pieces of crypto-related draft legislation under review, including McHenry's Keep Innovation in America Act. Interesting. So tomorrow I'll speak on Capitol Hill about the need for a workable crypto regulatory framework. We must fix our financial system, embrace the benefits of crypto, and protect consumers. Read a summary of my full message here. Paul Grewal tweets, regulators can either declare that digital assets are regulated in the same way as other assets and thereby apply the same rules, or regulators can say that they are different and create new rules, said Belshi in his prepared testimony. But what regulators cannot be allowed to do is to claim that assets are different and also claim that rules are already understood. And that this is the issue we're facing in the whole space right now, is people basically saying yeah, we don't have any clarity on this, but then once you take some action, they hit you with some, rules they didn't declare before. So we just need consistency, and we need definition. So he added, I want to point out that this is not uniquely the fault of the current administration's approach to guidance. We filled our letter to the SEC in 2018 under the prior administration's oversight. The difficulty of keeping up with innovation is constant. And so I like how this is a nonpartisan statement, because truly this comes down to either you being authoritarian or you being pro liberty, right? And so this is not a matter of red versus blue. This really is a matter of clarity, and also making sure that we're preserving uh, people's liberty to do the things they decide to do within their right to do so. In February 2022, I'm sorry, in September 2022, the White House released a comprehensive framework for digital assets with 6 principal directions for crypto regulation in the US. Following research from federal agencies, Tanya Evans, a professor at Penn State Dickinson Law, is also expected to appear as a witness at the hearing, said in prepared remarks that this framework had yet to fulfill its promise. The administration's pro-offered framework served more as a report out of initial agency findings and recommendations than a workable framework regulated parties could reasonably rely on to operate lawfully within clear rules of engagement for this novel programmable dynamic asset class. Yeah, that's absolutely the case. The subcommittee's hearings fall exactly 1 year after U.S. President Joe Biden signed an executive order aimed at establishing a regulatory framework for digital assets. The order has caused federal departments to move forward with studying the potential impact of cryptocurrencies on the U.S. financial system, and in some cases, develop policy recommendations. This is a pretty spicy conversation, and it's spicy because it kind of tugs at the framework of what people are actually for or against. If you're for boosting the US dollar's dominance, I could see you making some political decisions. But if you're looking at people having the right to life, liberty, and property, and you're just trying to protect people's right to life, liberty, and property, and they can choose how they want to exercise their liberty, I mean, you have to protect cryptocurrency rights, and make sure that if people want to build businesses here in the United States that use cryptocurrencies and are expanding cryptocurrencies in their use cases, I mean, we have to be pro liberty at that point. We have the second article here by Crypto Slate. Biden to propose changing crypto tax rules, Wall Street Journal. The change is expected to prevent wash trading and to raise $24 billion. And so this is actually a good point of conversation here. A lot of people who are pro crypto regulation, what they're really trying to do is trying to prevent black market activity from using cryptocurrency infrastructure to basically move money around so that it loses trace, and people can do terrible things with money that don't respect the right to life, liberty, and property, right? And so this is not a cut and dry, easy peasy conversation. And so we should be thoughtful here. Let's be careful to not throw rocks, but just to understand both sides of the conversation so that we can agree on where to land properly, and that's how democratic republics function, right? So US President Joe Biden will propose changes to crypto taxation in an upcoming budget plan, according to a report from the Wall Street Journal on March 8th. Biden's budget plan will target wash trading. Biden's budget plan could directly affect crypto investors. The Wall Street Journal says that the president will propose a change to crypto taxation rules to target wash trading, though rules against wash trading apply to stock and bond trading. Those rules are not currently being applied to cryptocurrency trading. This means that investors can sell certain investments and accept a tax deductible loss before reinvesting, an illegal practice that the government undoubtedly wants to prevent. The new crypto tax policy is projected to raise $24 billion They will be part of Biden's broader 2024 budget plan, which aims to cut federal budget deficits by $3 trillion over a decade. The proposal may not succeed due to opposition from the Republican Party, which currently has a House majority despite Biden's Democratic leadership and a Democratic Senate. Biden is expected to release the new budget plan on Thursday, March 9th. Other changes to crypto taxes. While Biden's changes are not guaranteed to come into effect, various other recent tax policy changes will affect crypto investors in the US this tax season. The IRS expanded the scope of crypto tax rules in February. Those changes mean that anyone who has dealt with digital assets must now report their activities. Other reports suggest that non fungible tokens could be taxable. Additionally, some cryptocurrency exchanges began to provide 1099-B forms to their users in 2022, providing crypto investors with more information to report to the IRS. Recent third-party surveys from Coin Ledgers suggest that many crypto investors have not included crypto transactions on their tax reports when necessary. Only 58% of those surveyed confirmed included cryptocurrencies on their tax reports in 2022. So this is another side of that coin with the Biden administration and cryptocurrency digital asset laws. Um, I think we should just be really informed on how this whole thing's evolving and make sure that we're giving useful guidance, even if we disagree with the administration. Even if we agree with the administration, I think we need to be as helpful as possible to help guide crypto, because this is going to affect how crypto evolves in the United States and beyond uh, at a very deep level. So let's really make sure we land in the right spot here. Until next time, I'm the Data Lord. This is Decentralized TV, Crypto, and Coffee, where we read today's crypto news. Until next time, keep calm and hodl on.
Thank you, Brandon, for that. That were so on the two articles. There's more clarity coming in, and what typically occurs with these securities exchanges, or when we're trading stocks and bonds and everything else, wash trade rules apply, where you can't rebuy the same asset you just sold and do a tax, take advantage of a tax benefit if you do it within 30 days. So now they're moving that into Bitcoin and crypto trading itself. So that they were looking at a pretty substantial increase of revenue once that law comes into place. The other law that came, which actually prompted the drop of Bitcoin yesterday, is also the fact that they want to levy a 30% tax on Bitcoin mining revenue. So that's the other reason you saw this drop. So there's quite a few bits of news that came out that cascaded this drop in price. So it's bringing it down for the Indo Crypto's Hungry Hippo. And he's also noted, which that we mentioned on Wednesday, of quite a bit of Bitcoin being moved out of old wallets into Coinbase and into exchanges. So that could also be a sign, or usually is a sign, of sale of Bitcoin, or converting it into fiat. So there's quite a bit of sell pressure going on in the market currently for Bitcoin. And that's why we are watching as we go forward. We never know how the price that we're seeking happens, but as we've always shared with you, is the news will come somehow. We don't know what news it'll be, but that's usually what transpires. And when we see the formations, we're like, okay, it's looking weak, like we mentioned on Wednesday, and here we are today, bouncing off of the 200 moving average. And one more item, one more news article, which is the third low roller scratcher that you mentioned about SVB, Silicon Valley Bank. There was a sign about a month ago that should have been clear to everybody that would be triggering this drop. And it has to do with an ETF that was launched also. What famous guy usually makes the call? And there's an inverse trade opportunity. So whatever he says, just do the opposite. It's a scary thing how accurate that AT is, but here, without further ado, you can see Watcher Guru posted today. It says 1 month ago, Jim Cramer urged investors to buy Silicon Valley Bank stock, SIVB, saying it was still cheap and has room to run. The stock's value has since dropped 66% following concerns that the bank is on the brink of collapsing. Jim, bro, you're good. I mean, if you do the inverse, you always win, everyone. So here's another proof. Just watch this guy and you just do the opposite and you'll be safe. So this would have been a clear sign. Remember Bear Stearns? This was another one that he did back in 2008. So lower roller scratcher. Here's our guy. We should use him as an indicator on this channel for the rest of us. Outside of that, I think we are caught up on the news. We are to watch, and we will see what happens next. This weekend is going to be quite interesting. Today's federal meeting also will give us clarity as to how the second half of March is going to be for the entire industry, both the stocks, the oil and gas, and also crypto, Bitcoin, and the rest of crypto. So please stay, like and subscribe. Stay watching us. Indo, you're asking a question. We're biding our time. Oof. What's the mid price of that JPEG? I guess it's the biding our time. All right, we'll create it. We'll discuss that on Monday when everyone's back in the team. So it's always great seeing you guys. I really appreciate you attending this. And no mint for you, Brandon says. Safe journeys, everyone. Whatever you're doing this weekend, dollar cost average into any investment or exit if you want to take profits. At this moment, we're looking for a bottom. So overall, it's not a great place to exit, but if you need the money, you got to do what you got to do. But you should have entered when knowing that you would not need it. So always stay safe, stay chill. Not financial advice. Stay calm, huddle on. Have a great one, everyone. And we will see you on